Hi there. In this video I'm just doodling, really, trying to do some painting. As you can see from my video yesterday, I took a day off of drawing practice and my muscle memory went to crap. So just kind of reminding myself of the basics. I am using a reference image just as a kind of guide for the shading and the kind of outlines of some of the objects, but this is basically just drawing, doodling, whatever comes into my head, really. I'm deliberately adding a bit of asymmetry in the eyes here, because I realised that nobody has perfect symmetry. Even sort of the world's best models have differences between port and starboard. So yeah, I'm kind of just tweaking around with the shapes, moving them, just trying to get things where I want them to be. This is sped up 4 times. This took me about just about an hour and 10 minutes to complete this drawing. I say complete, I got to the stage where I am at the end of the video in about an hour and 10 minutes, but obviously I'm sped up so that it's slightly less boring for you. Again, so I'm just kind of throwing in some basic anatomy and on a sketch layer, and then I'll move things around as and when I need to, so that it looks vaguely close to being a real person. I tend to find that second guessing yourself, I think the reason that people take so long to do these things professionally and properly is because they go that one stage further, those 2 stages further than perhaps I go in this. See, I'm drawing the lips way too close to the nose there, so I'll have to fix that afterwards. But you know, once you've got the proportions in place, I mean, if you're not drawing from a reference image, if you're just drawing for the sake of drawing from your memory, then you can put things wherever you want to, really. But for me, trying to draw from a reference, I actually wander a bit too far from the reference in this. But again, it doesn't matter because I'm not actually trying to copy another drawing. I'm just using it as a reference for the shading and the kind of the basic elements. But the position, the outline of the face are the things that really make the difference in this particular instance. So I'm now going to lay down some line work. I'm just going to make sure I've got the right brush selected. So I go for a hard round brush with pressure controlling the size, not the opacity, because I don't want my lines to have different values. I want them all to be the same opacity, but width obviously I do want to vary so that I can draw more beautiful lines. Obviously, again, not particularly at a high level of doing this yet, so it's something that I have to work on, but I'm still using a 12-inch tablet at the moment as my main drawing thing. I'm working on trying to get something bigger, but they are insanely expensive for anything that's decent. I'm firmly of the opinion that if I'm going to spend the kind of money that I need to spend on getting a 24-inch tablet, I might as well save and get the best one that I can get and not just buy a budget model and then end up having to replace it again within a couple of years time or a year's time as I get better. So yeah, I'm saving up to get a sort of professional quality tablet, and that's not to suggest that I've outgrown the my current tablet by any stretch of the imagination. I would argue that I've still got a lot of practicing to do, but I'm kind of the opinion that now that I've got the fundamentals reasonably squared away, I'm at a stage now where I might as well start learning to use the piece of equipment that I'm going to be using for the long term. So that's my eyes done, my line work. It looks okay. Just going to put the nostrils in. I'm not actually going to draw the outlines of the nostrils, the nasolabial folds type things, because they aren't actually hard lines in the shading in the reference drawing. They're just darker shading, so I'll utilize shading for that. Just going to bang in a couple of quick eyebrows. I realise that again they're uneven and I will need to change that slightly when I get further in. But again, just kind of throwing down some basic shapes and basic outlines for now before I start doing some colouring in. So it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, it just has to be something that's going to give me a guideline for them when I actually do colour in, because the outline for the lips aren't actually going to be there in the final version, in the final print. It's going to be just colour, because lips don't have an outline. So I'm going to just mess around and try and get a decent shaped head, and probably move some body parts around to get my proportions looking right. Yeah, I just needed to reshape the eyebrow slightly, as it was making the right side of her head way too wide. And I'm thinking that I need to make the face longer, so I'm going to have to make some adjustments here. It just looks too broad to my eye. Maybe I'm wrong, but I will probably just stretch it out a bit more. Add, you know, only by a few mil here and there, but it all makes a difference. And then obviously now the chin needs to come down significantly. Otherwise that's going to look really odd. And I'm pretty happy with that now where it is. Just going to sort of even out the square jawline a little bit, because I think it's too sharp and the chin's not pointy enough. There we go, that looks a little bit more feminine. Now it's time to start adding some colour. And I'll just tidy up the edges. I'm not overly fussy about the edges, purely because this is not going to be, it's not meant to be some amazing piece of artwork that I'm going to sell to anybody. I'm just doodling again. So now I've got that, I'm going to choose a darker colour for the shadows, and then just start loosely painting them in, getting them in the right place. I'll probably do several passes of shadow layer once I've got what I'm looking for. Once I've got the shapes of the shadows in place, then I can start playing with the levels of them. It's when I get to this stage that I can start seeing the shape of the face, and it makes finding the shadows a little bit easier. Or at least I find it is anyway. Sometimes I go a little bit over the top and might need to fix it, but so just add a little bit of a Gaussian blur there to smooth out some of the imperfections in there. And now I'm just adding some highlights, again just to add that dimension to the face to make it look more three-dimensional. Yeah, and just being kind of loosey-goosey here really, just getting the basic shapes laid down, making it look three-dimensional as best I can. And then it's time to start adding some colour to the eyes and the lips. Once I'm happy with the shading shapes that I've drawn. So I was going to go crazy with detail here, so I sort of deliberately bled over into the eyelids a little bit to give myself space to work, but as I draw in the shadows and start adding colour to the eyeballs, I realise I actually quite prefer the minimalist feel. Let's just rinse and repeat basically the same steps. Add the shading to the whites of the eyes and then fill in the iris and the pupil with the mandatory catch light in the eyes just to make it look three-dimensional. Just basically sampling the colours from the left side onto the right side, make it as identical as possible, and then I'm fairly happy with that. It's not too bad, you know. So I can add a little bit more of the blending in the eyeliner, but overall pretty happy with the values there. So I can just add some black shadows around the eyes now to darken that area up a little bit, and again just to add a bit more dimension. And now it's time to start thinking about adding some more colour. The last part, of course, is the lips. I have a tendency to overthink the lips because I find mouths to be quite difficult to draw. I don't know why. I just seem to have a bit of a blind spot for them. So I tend to go over the top. So in this drawing, I'm going to try and keep it as minimalist as possible. Just going to go for one flat colour and then add a couple of different colours just to add some shadow and highlights. And then see where I'm at basically. Might add some overlay onto it as well just to give it a little bit more dimension. And so that's the mouth basically done. So I'm just going to remove the outline, the line work, and then I'm going to trim up the base layer to make them look a bit smoother in shape. I'm pretty happy now with the shape of that, so I'm just going to get creative in methods for adding more shadows now, basically. Try and give the image a little bit more contrast, add a bit more depth to the shape of the face. Again, there's always a risk of going over the top, but it's a digital painting. I don't mind if it goes a little bit over the top. Again, just playing with shadows and highlights, really adding more layers, more value to different areas, just to give it more of a three-dimensional feel. Adding some more highlights to just give ourselves a bit more shape, and then going back in with some more highlights. So that's basically it, all bar the singing. So yeah, hopefully you found that interesting to watch. Just got a few more shadows to add and I'm basically done. So thank you very much for watching this one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. But until then, you take care of yourselves, okay? Bye bye.